Hi, you might have heard that President Trump just pardoned American heavyweight boxing champion Jack Johnson. He was convicted in 1913 of taking his girlfriend at the time, who later became his wife, across state lines. This was widely considered potentially like a way to stall his career, or any way to kind of like hurt his success as a boxer. He became champion in 1908, and he was very successful. This conviction really hurt him. He fled the country for a while. Um, but what does this have to do with catch wrestling? Let me tell you. So in 1910, in Reno, Nevada, July 4th, there was a big boxing match between Jack Johnson and Jim Jeffries. So the race was on to find someone who could beat Johnson. And so what they did was they coaxed a former champion who had been retired for about 6 years, Jim Jeffries, out of retirement. So the thing was, though, that in his 6 years of retirement, Jim Jeffries had gained a lot of weight. He hadn't been exercising as hard as he had been when he was fighting. So what he did was employ a strength and conditioning coach. This strength and conditioning coach was Martin Burns. So a lot of people know him as Farmer Burns, or Martin Farmer Burns, who was a catch wrestling champion and who coached Frank Gotch, another catch wrestling champion and legend. So Martin Burns was Jim Jeffries' strength and conditioning coach. He was able to get Jeffries back down into the low 200 pounds. So he helped him to lose, I believe it was like nearly 100 pounds of weight. Either way, it was quite a bit of weight. He was in really good fighting shape. You can look at some of the old footage. He was moving around very well. And we'll also show a picture here, courtesy of Mike Chapman, of Martin Burns sparring with Jim Jeffries. So anyway, this match really put Reno, Nevada on the map. So they actually had to build an arena for this match, and it was basically a who's who of famous celebrities and famous sports athletes. We'll also show a picture here of Frank Gotch. It's labeled pictures. You can kind of see some of the big names, because what they did before the match was they brought all these wrestling and boxing, all these sports heroes into the ring in front of everybody so they can be introduced. Right. So we'll have Frank Gotch here, along with many really famous boxers. So that's how catch wrestling came into play. A lot of people nowadays recognize wrestling as being one of the toughest sports, one of the best to get your conditioning back up. So we definitely recommend wrestling, and in particular catch wrestling. If you guys want to know, to be more thorough with the story, is that yes, even though Martin Burns was able to get Jim Jeffries back into fighting shape, he was still no match for Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson still knocked him out in the 15th round.